Transformers Rise of the Beasts is out now, introducing us to not just the Maximals, but also one of the biggest villains in the entire series, Unicron. And not just Unicron the World Eater, but his faithful servants, the Terrorcons, as well. And today, well, I think it's time that we take a look at all the villains in these live-action Bayverse movies. So the Decepticons, the Terrorcons, even the Infernocons, basically anyone fighting against the Autobots, and rank them all from weakest to strongest. Today we're going to figure out who really is the most powerful villain out there in Transformers. So let's get to it. What's up guys, I'm Daniel and this is DanCo. We do fight breakdowns every week, plus the occasional power ranking video like this one or things like that. So if that seems interesting to you, we'll sit back and enjoy the video. Hit that like button. If you want to, well, hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Now let's get to it. The Decepticons are an example of re-engineered Cybertronian wildlife, robotic insects that have been altered for use in warfare and are capable of implanting cerebro strips into the heads of victims. This allows the Decepticons' master to mentally manipulate and control the victims remotely. Igor is a small drone created from leftover Decepticon parts by Megatron as a pet. Igor isn't very bright and is a pretty simple being. In fact, Megatron only built him to do two things: worship his master and consume enough to survive. As such, all Igor does is grovel at Megatron's feet or wait for the big guy to come home, all while munching on whatever scraps and debris he comes across. Ultimately, Igor is too small to be a warrior and too dumb to be a spy, so his only use is as Megatron's pet. The tiny Scalpel, also known as the Doctor, looks harmless enough with his big inquisitive eyes. But you gotta know, in the world of Transformers, things are not what they seem. The Doctor has vast databases of anatomical and mechanical knowledge, being familiar with most species in the galaxy. He's extremely adept at getting to the root of a problem and can easily disassemble most technological devices. Unfortunately, when he goes to put them back together, he always has a few parts left over, which has left most of the Decepticons reluctant to come to him for care, even though he's their official field medic. Reedman is the form taken by a swarm of Microcons when they combine together. The combined mantis-like form is razor thin, allowing for near invisibility when seen from certain angles. Frenzy is small, sneaky, great at sabotage, and excels at causing chaos. His ability to access secret information stored by humans provides the Decepticons with a distinct edge, to the point where if he was killed in battle, the information stored in his memory core could make him just as valuable as the Allspark itself. However, Frenzy is exceptionally hard to kill because he possesses a decentralized modular nervous system. Basically, it means that even if he suffers critical injuries such as decapitation, he can continue to keep on going. Freezers are spine-chilling insectoid-like Terrorcons under Scourge's command that sniff out their prey and function as weapons for the Terrorcons. Alice is the kind of girl you wish you met in college. She's pretty, is incredibly forward about what she wants, and lives next door to Sam Witwicky in Hamilton Hall. And she's really interested in Sam. It's a bit suspicious, really. Maybe she's just pretending? An example of a mechanimal re-engineered to serve Transformers, Laserbeak serves the Decepticons as a scout and spy for Soundwave. But that doesn't mean he isn't capable of other tasks, such as hunting down targets for capture. Despite his small size, Laserbeak is one of the most competent Decepticons around and is a highly skilled assassin. He knows how to manipulate someone's fear or gain their trust simultaneously, and takes wicked glee in slaughter, especially when it comes to the innocent. Small and slick, the knife-wielding Mohawk is a literal motorbike punk. As loyal as he is deadly, this Decepticon is always ready to cause some mayhem in service of Megatron. Sadly, Megatron doesn't reciprocate his loyalty, likely because Mohawk never shuts up. Before the war, Sideways was a simple courier, so he's not a physical powerhouse like the other Decepticons. As he's pretty smart though, Sideways prefers to team up with larger Decepticons in the battle against the Autobots. This way, his target-friendly companion takes all the heat. When he absolutely must face the enemy though, he eagerly deploys the spinning saw blades on his arms. Steeljaws are wolf-like creatures used by Lockdown to hunt down intruders and prey that venture into his ship. Ravage specializes in infiltration, and as a frequent partner of Soundwave, he tends to do the dirty work for the larger Decepticon. Ravage's body and armament are all dedicated to hitting the enemy before they even know what hit them. He can be orbitally inserted at 15 times the speed of sound, spy inside highly secure locations using swarms of microcons, and generally ruin your day. He respects the danger humans present though, as they were the ones who managed to kill Megatron. Built by KSI, Junkheap is a waste management garbage truck composed of 3 robots, and are mostly mindless drones built by humans using the element Transformium. To say Brawl is a warrior is like calling Cybertron a hunk of metal. Brawl doesn't just enjoy fighting, he's consumed by it. Tearing Autobots apart is embedded into his very core, and every fiber optic cable of his being is obsessed with wild, unwielding combat. The only thing he enjoys or even cares about is the fury of battle, and he loves a good explosion, particularly if he's the one who created it, and if it's an Autobot that's exploding. 2 heads are man-made Transformers built to resemble Shockwave, with an extra head. Several of these bots were built by KSI, and after Galvatron took over, they were sent out to fight the Autobots and capture the Seed in Hong Kong. Scorponok is a small Transformer with a symbiotic connection to Blackout. His main drives are to hunt, destroy, and hunt some more. Since he can burrow through solid earth at frightening speeds, Scorponok is a terrifying opponent and is incredibly good at ambushing his target in a shower of dirt from the ground. His favorite pastime is playing hide-and-seek with unsuspecting players, preferring to be hider and seeker. On Cybertron, he was deliberately left behind on battlefields, so he could use his chameleon mesh armor to blend in perfectly with the background, then ambush any Autobot patrols that would arrive. Thanks to this, Megatron gave him more autonomy than other Decepticons would get, as he admired Scorponok's genocidal zeal. Known as the Claw of Megatron, Bone Crusher can be described with one word: hate. While other Decepticons get by on greed, ambition, or just their fondness for dispensing chaos, Bone Crusher is fueled by sheer, unrelenting hate. He hates everyone and everything, Autobots, Decepticons, or anything in between. He even hates himself, revolted by his misshapen, hunchbacked robot mode, which he considers a reflection of all the ugliness and malice inside himself. KSI bosses were more man-made Transformers built by KSI that were sent out by Galvatron to capture the Seed in Hong Kong in order to cyberform the Earth. As the leader of the Combaticons, Onslaught is a genius when it comes to strategy. While this tactical skill is his most impressive asset, he's more proud of the fact that he's so much bigger than his peers. And in true Decepticon fashion, Onslaught likes to show off his brawn by bullying smaller foes. Blitzwing is just another Decepticon who holds a grudge against Bumblebee. Or more so, Bee holds a grudge against him. Blitzwing sees all Autobots as traitors of Cybertron that deserve to be hunted and given the death penalty. Extremely violent, he carries an electron spike blade to silence any Autobot, something that ironically ultimately did him in. A master strategist and close combat specialist, Grinder can predict his opponent's next move before they even know it themselves. It's reached the point where it's less planning and more instinct on his part. With every possible move planned out beforehand, Grinder confidently wades into the center of battle, ready for any and all challengers. Nitro Zeus comes across as little more than a loudmouthed, trash-talking, strutting, self-aggrandizing jerk. He is all those things, but unfortunately for his enemies, he's got the strength and skill to back up his ego. Though he might seem like a rowdy brawler, Nitro is actually more the stalk and destroy type. He is a powerful, merciless hunter, using his vast arsenal and formidable tracking skills to locate and capture whatever target Megatron demands. Rampage is a pretty violent guy. A member of the Constructicons, he can be followed by the Trail of Destruction as he wrecks his way through the battlefield, leaving the smell of diesel fumes and hot tar in his wake. His chassis is covered with scratches, dings, and dents as a testament to his intense love of battle. The monstrous hooligan known as Dreadbot is a tough, destructive thug who's hard to control and even harder to kill. His massive frame can slice through walls and protects him from virtually any ammunition known to humans. Menacing, unrelenting, and bloodthirsty, Battletrap is an elite scout and enforcer for the Terrorcons that takes great pride in being part of the most sinister brigade of hunters to ever stalk the universe. He relishes in the fury of battle, eagerly carrying out the orders handed down to him by his leader, Scourge, and dishing out punishments with glee. The Dreads are a unit of particularly fearsome Decepticons. Their specialty is infiltration and the assassination of high-profile Autobot targets. They're also such unpleasant monsters that even the other Decepticons tend to dislike them. Dropkick really doesn't like being on Earth, but he wasn't given much choice. If he had his way, he'd be back on Cybertron right now, sitting alone in the dark and feeling angry. He doesn't really get why folks are so interested in the Allspark, why the Autobots are making things so hard for him. But at least once the Decepticons get what they want, he'll have plenty of things to blow up and humans to liquefy. Possibly the most homicidal Decepticon of all, Berserker is a seething ball of destructive energy, his lust for violence constant and irrepressible. Anyone and anything that gets in his way is torn to shreds, leading both his allies and his enemies to give him as wide a berth as possible. Naturally, Megatron wants this antisocial, impulsive maniac back in his ranks, but even he knows it's a tall order. As the Decepticons' resident communications officer, Soundwave doesn't just master the frequencies that carry information across our planet, he revels in them. Often stationed high in the upper atmosphere and capable of processing millions of data streams at once, he is fully capable of taking over communications on a planetary scale. After all, he views knowledge as power he can exploit. The massive Blackout has been described as the Hound of Megatron. In better days, he was always found looming powerful and silent behind his leader's right shoulder, and when given a target, he hunts it down with fierce determination. Nightbird is a sword-wielding Terrorcon, known for her haughty demeanor towards less skilled opponents. Barricade is apparently a complicated robot. He's considered fractious even by Decepticon standards, and it's been said that he likes to trick people into trusting him, just so he can see their reactions when they find out just how much of a bad idea it was. As such, he's disguised himself as a police car in an attempt to fool the humans around him. If his attitude towards his fellow Decepticons is inconsistent, his attitude towards the Autobots is not. Kill them all. Barricade might not be as large as most of his peers, but he is every bit as deadly. He thoroughly relishes every chance in fighting the Autobots. And the most frustrating part about Barricade, he always seems to manage to come back no matter how many times he has been brought down. Shatter takes great joy in her work as a hunter. Partnered with Dropkick, she's not so much the good cop of the pair as the not going to kill you yet cop. Unquestionably the brains of the duo, she's a smooth-talking manipulator who enjoys twisting the knife once she's found their quarry. She tends to let Dropkick do the dirtiest part of the work in the end, but she's a highly skilled combatant on her own. Innovation, efficiency, style. KSI rolls them out as you've never before experienced with Stinger, the all-new transformable drone produced on and exclusively for the Earth market. Improving our competitors' efforts, Stinger specializes in serving all your sabotage needs. A combination of years of KSI intensive engineering research with the cutting-edge style of their partners at Pagani Automobile, Stinger is as beautiful as it is functional. As Air Commander of the Decepticon attack forces and arguably one of their most lethal warriors, Starscream sees himself as a hero on the wrong side. Over the centuries, he's come to believe both Optimus and Megatron have lost sight of what is best for the Cybertronian race, and simply pursue their own agendas. Even though he's been loyal to Megatron, he disagreed with Megatron's obsession with the Allspark, and decided that for the greater good of their species, a new leader should emerge, him. Despite being a quadruped, Defcon is still a formidable foe to tangle with, towering over many other Cybertronians. It required several Autobots teaming up on him at once in order to take him down. One of the Constructicons, the gigantic Demolisher, may not be the sharpest tool in the shed. Luckily, he is smart enough to know when to fight openly and when to stick to the shadows. When he arrived on Earth to find Megatron dead, Demolisher went into hiding, gathering smaller Decepticons who needed a big, blunt instrument to cower behind. Shockwave was left to watch Cybertron by Megatron long ago, but he would eventually follow the call of the Allspark to Earth. Deadly efficient with a cold devotion to logic, Shockwave is a killing machine like few others, and one of the very few who could rival Megatron. This has made him quite popular amongst the Decepticons. Some respect him enough to willingly work with him, while others idolize him to the point of avenging his death. Nevertheless, Shockwave is ready and willing to destroy whichever Autobots dare to stand in his way with his arm-mounted Astromag cannon. When confronted by a threat to Quintessa too powerful for the demonic Infernocons to handle individually, they combine to take the form of Infernicus. He's composed of 5 distinct Infernocons: Skulk, Rupture, Thrash, Gorge, and Glug, serving as Quintessa's ultimate enforcer. Scourge is the cunning, ruthless, and treacherous leader of the Terrorcons, and the most fearsome hunter in the universe. Scourge commands his Terrorcons to pillage and leave chaos in their wake, to continue their mission to conquer thousands of worlds under Unicron's command. He is a ferocious but patient killer who makes sure that all who oppose him or his master will die, and his body is covered with insignias claimed as trophies of his many kills. However, make no mistake, Scourge is Unicron's servant, and any failure on his part is immediately punished with extreme pain, so it's a testament to Scourge's skill that he rarely fails. Whether he's formed from 6, 7, 8, or 9 Constructicons, Devastator is a giant among giants. Devastator is also a tormented being, his very formation racking his component Constructicons with pain and stressing them to the breaking point both physically and mentally. The imperfect fusion process produces a mind that's very much less than the sum of its parts. Rage and pain are all he knows, relying on almost pure instinct in battle. Megatron, aka Galvatron, was not always the viciously powerful and brutally direct leader of the Decepticons. He was once brother in arms with Optimus and a student of Sentinel Prime, appointed to be Cybertron's protector and commander of its defense force. But Megatron resented his comrade, knowing he was a Prime and therefore Sentinel's favorite son. This anger allowed the Fallen to ensnare him and led to the revival of the Decepticons. Even without the Fallen though, it's not hard to imagine that Megatron would have erupted Cybertron into war to rid himself of Optimus. Megatron tends to become so obsessed with the object of his desires that he can ignore secondary matters, creating glaring flaws in his plans. Otherwise, he likely wouldn't have chased after the Allspark alone and spent centuries trapped in the Arctic. But trying to talk Megatron out of blindly going after his goals is useless. He will risk his world, his troops, and even his own spark to achieve his goals. These things don't matter to Megatron. For all his evils and all his faults though, Megatron does genuinely strive to save his home planet someday, and with it, the Cybertronian race, even if it means he has to rule it with his iron fist and put his bloodlust to good use to do so. Sentinel Prime hails from an older time when Cybertron was the galaxy's crown jewel, and the Transformer race was full of promise and potential. The only known remaining Prime, he personified what a leader should be: wise, compassionate, and a more than worthy warrior. Revered by both Autobots and Decepticons, few would dare stand against his shield and Primemax blade. But when Sentinel was presumably lost forever aboard the Ark, Optimus Prime, his hand-picked successor, was left to fill his void. The loss of Sentinel signaled the end of Cybertron's golden age, and the planet spiraled deeper into war. Some who recall Sentinel's reign bitterly remember when Transformers were masters of their fate, rather than scattered to the stars and living as exiles. Above all though, Sentinel Prime is a staunch patriot. He loves his home planet with all that he is and will do anything, even go to the extremes, to protect it. Even the Decepticons are afraid of this guy, because once Lockdown has been hired to track down a subject, nothing stops him from completing his transaction short of total deactivation. Answering only to his creators, Lockdown holds himself above the Autobot Decepticon war and sees both sides as squabbling children that he has to rein in personally. He doesn't think much higher of other civilized species across the galaxy, though he isn't above working with them if it suits him. Lockdown is a bounty hunter at heart, always fulfilling the contract and missions he's assigned to as long as he's paid. He doesn't really care what he has to do in order to fulfill his contract, eager to destroy entire planets if it's necessary. The largest subterranean life form native to Cybertron, drillers are not to be taken lightly. Enormous multi-tentacled beasts capable of burrowing through the ground or through buildings, they're capable of great destruction and carnage on a massive scale. They're semi-sentient at best and can only obey simple commands, but they also develop intense loyalty to their masters. Naturally, all these qualities have endeared them to Shockwave, who keeps one as a pet and personal transport. The one owned by Shockwave is bred specifically for war, and as such is considerably larger than other drillers. If the first Transformers were Primus' disciples, then the Fallen is his Judas. At the dawn of time, he was Megatronus, one of a brotherhood of vastly powerful beings dedicated to the well-being of their world. But the Fallen would turn against his brother Primes in order to pursue his own ends, earning the moniker of the first Decepticon in the process. His frightening form is a metal cage for primal, burning forces of chaos, giving him the appearance of a living furnace, and purging him of what empathy and morality remained. All that remains now is hatred and purest rage. The Fallen is immensely powerful. He commands the mystic arts, and when at full strength, he can unmake creation at will. He's rarely defeated. At best, he's contained, where he waits with eternal patience for the chance to unleash his dark powers once again. Quintessa is a mysterious and powerful space sorceress. The self-described prime of life, she claims to have created the Cybertronian species, and considers Cybertron to be hers to command. But then again, she's also been referred to as the Great Deceiver, so how much of what she says is actually true may be up for debate. What does appear to be true about Quintessa is that she's a ruthless, genocidal psychopath with massive delusions of grandeur, which quite frankly makes her more endearing to the tyrannical Megatron than to the noble Optimus Prime. Unicron is the eternal arch-enemy of his twin brother Primus. Also known as the Lord of Chaos, the Chaos Bringer, and the Planet Eater, he is dedicated to consuming the universe. His massive form is powered by the consumption of planets, moons, stars, and even the very fabric of existence. Unicron will not be finished until his ultimate goal is attained, to bring an end to the annoying creation all around him, and to find peace by becoming the living center of a swirling, infinite torrent of nothingness at the end of all things. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.